What's up, metal and heavy music fans? Today we are ranking the albums of Every Time I Die.
But if it gets too close, I gotta kill it all. I'm gonna need your help. My annihilation.
Alright, finally, Every Time I Die tier list. I was just waiting on Radical, but let's dive right into it. So first up, of course, we have Last Night in Town from 2001. This was recorded actually with Adam D of Killswitch Engage, who they toured with around this time, already defining their sound, but definitely very raw at this point. Some people like it. Dan from Leave and the Hudson Horror loves it. He actually calls this his favorite album, so he might be a little upset with me here because this is my least favorite to re-listen to overall. Still a solid album though. There's really no Every Time I Die record that I don't enjoy, but personal favorites on this one: Emergency Broadcast Syndrome, The Logic of Crocodiles, and California Gracefully. I'm gonna put it at C tier. Alright, Hot Damn 2003. My first exposure to this band was picking up this album at a record store that somebody in the Discord has since been able to determine was Record Breakers in the Chicago suburbs. This is an absolute banger of an album that started my love of mathcore and of course of Every Time I Die. I know that some people argue whether this truly fits the definition of mathcore, but whatever, we're not gonna mince words here. Almost every track is noteworthy in some way, but main highlights here: Romeo A Go-Go, She's My Rushmore, and of course Ebola-Rama. It's far from perfect, but it's an absolute classic. Just from that beginning. Like, what record from this time opens better than this one? I know there's a lot I love from this era, but holy cow, that is a fantastic opener. Off-Broadway, all these great chugging guitars. Keith just sounds so raw, but in the best of ways. You got the jams of the just bluesy riffs of I've Been Gone a Long Time, all those amazing riffs, and then, yeah, the Ebola-Rama is just like a real trip. It's still one of my all-time favorite songs from basically day one. So yeah, for this one, it's going at A for me. I could almost put it at S, but I gotta leave room, and I don't want everything to just be at S tier. Alright, Gutter Phenomenon 2005 basically takes everything I love about Hot Damn and then steps it up and adds more of their evolving personality to it. Another album where I love basically every single song. Apocalypse Now and Then is the perfect opener, even better than on the last album. It has some of my favorite lyrics, more or less mocking the listener with lines like, "Are we baiting the right hook to get your attention?" Keith's lyrics and vocal delivery have always been a key element to why I love this band so much. Kill the Music had Michael Madsen in the music video right around the time he was known again for Kill Bill. Then you've got The New Black, Guitarred and Feathered. Bored Stiff has a classic scream-along moment that puts a stupid grin on my face every time. I'm not going to play that one in particular because YouTube might get mad, but man, just the guitar work, the songwriting, the aggression, got the cowbell elements stepping up here. Just really coming into that, what I've called Southern Fried Hardcore sound. The New Black, it took me a while to get in this song originally, but holy cow, like there's a reason it's so good, and just amazing album all around. So yeah, I'm gonna put this one at S tier. The Big Dirty 2007. This one finds the band continuing to expand on those Southern Fried sounding riffs with more instant classics like No Son of Mine, Werewolf, In Rehab, and Pigs is Pigs. Now every album has those great vocal and lyrical moments when it comes to Every Time I Die, like I just said, but I think that this one has some of my all-time favorites to quote, with the likes of Shoot the Dog If You Can't Afford to Feed It, I'm No Good at Court-Ordered Goodbyes, Hang 'Em High or Not at All, and I Tied the Devil to the Tracks. That part is just so good. And cowbell, gotta have the cowbell every time at this point. All these riffs, just cemented in my brain. And another great opener. I feel like pretty much every album, to be fair, has a great opener, so enough said. Keith is just sounding like a wild-eyed, snake-handling preacher on most of this album and really coming into his own. Just a blast to listen to. I love working out to this one as well. I'm going to go ahead and also put it at S tier. Alright, and then New Junk Aesthetic in 2009, and I've always felt like this is the kind of forgotten album that just never really comes up much in conversation, but it's easily one of my favorites. It's the first one that they did with Epitaph. It's very consistent and also super super fast and very aggressive. Roman Holiday is this great super pissed off slow opener with more great scream along moments. You've got Greg from the Dillinger Escape Plan doing a little guest spot on The Marvelous Slut. Wanderlust makes me laugh out loud with just how twisted the lyrics are. Host Disorder also has some amazing lyrics. Buffalo 666 is a total rager. Yeah, different kind of opening for them, but man, it just like ramps up the atmosphere and gets you going just in time for the kickoff with all these insanely fast tracks and just so much fun. How can you just not enjoy that? So yeah, if you ask me, S tier, and I'm going to put it at the tip top. And just a reminder, as always, within the tiers, they're also ranked, so the closer they are to the letter, the higher they are. Alright, but not every album can be S tier. We got to change it up a little bit here with X Lives in 2012. And to be totally honest, I really did not like this album when it first came out, but it has grown on me quite a bit. Of course, Underwater Bimbos from Outer Space is both one of the best titles and best openers of any Every Time I Die album. I mean, don't we all just want to be dead with our friends? That's like the anthem of a generation. Then I Suck Blood has that amazing driving riff. Drag King just sounds absolutely angry, insane, whatever words you want to use. And then of course, Revival Mode takes a turn and really gets me with just how genuinely sad it sounds in contrast to everything else. But then of course, still getting gradually more and more bitter and pissed off the closer we get to the end, where he just really lets loose. For a long time, this was my favorite melodic Every Time I Die track until they one-upped themselves, and more on that later. So yeah, overall quite solid, but one of the more inconsistent outings too, so I'm going to put this one at B tier. Then we had From Parts Unknown in 2014, and this was lovingly called Every Time I Converged by my friends and I when it came out, since it was produced by none other than Kurt Ballou, and definitely brings some of those sensibilities in its mostly straight-for-the-throat approach on tracks like The Great Secret, Pelican in the Desert, and If There Is Room to Move, Things Move. Buckley actually said of this album that he wanted to make something that scares people rather than something they can sing along to, but they do still bring some of those more big dirty vibes on tracks like Decayin' with the Boys, Old Light, and El Dorado. I mean, if that ain't catchy, I don't know what is. I also really dig the experimentation on More, which was just another total curveball for them. It's just a weird and unique with this minimalist piano line slowly building up, but then, true to form, you've always got to ultimately build up to this big explosion with the riffs. Utterly anthemic, but mostly I think this album's going to be remembered as fast, furious, and fun. I'm going to put it at A tier. By the way, if you're enjoying this tier list, hit the like button and subscribe for plenty more. Alright, Low Teens 2016. This was another album I wasn't really sure about when I first started listening to it, but again, they have yet to let me down. I think this one just takes a little bit more time to set in. Fear and Trembling has that really memorable intro. It's just so weird. It's a different approach for them. Like, I love that they just continue to shake things up with all these. I Didn't Want to Join Your Stupid Cult Anyways has some really awesome punk D-beat and bass. Hell yeah. That's a good time right there. It Remembers has more of this kind of like rock and roll vibe that actually ends up working really well. Pedal is just a pure blast of insanity. Bringing back that just like straight up mathcore energy. This one's also a little bit longer than the last few and has quite a bit to say, but does so with fewer of those big lyrical moments that have me screaming along. I'll also say it has kind of some filler in comparison to other ones. But as I alluded to before, Map Change is the new reigning champion of melodic Every Time I Die songs. Like this, especially paired with the music video, almost brings me to tears every time, and it's easily in my top 10 Every Time I Die songs of all time. Just the passion in those lyrics and sing-song moments, it's just gets me right in the feels. More and more on this album, it seems like they're trying to prove that they can convey a much broader spectrum of emotions than just anger and bitterness. Now, is it my go-to album? No, but I definitely enjoy it every time I listen, so I'm gonna also put this one at B tier and higher at that. Alright, and then Radical 2021. Now, I and a few of you in my comments have been patiently waiting a good 2 years or so on this album so that I could finally do this tier list. And I'm happy to say that the wait was worth it. This album is a banger. In fact, it's like wall-to-wall bangers. With lots of seriously aggressive nihilistic ragers, but also some great experimentation once more on tracks like Things with Feathers, and all of those great scream-along moments I was missing are back with a vengeance on this one. These tracks are going to kill live, and I don't think they will be leaving my rotation anytime soon. Honestly, the only thing keeping it from shooting up to the very top is just how new it is. It really is that good. But ultimately, I feel confident in saying that this belongs at the top of A tier with serious potential to climb in the coming months. Check out my full review of Radical here and this playlist for more metal tier lists. And let me know your rankings down in the comments. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.